Hello, folks. Back again with more ancient cosmography. Um, so this is a possibility for this avatar. Um, let's see if it's visible on here. I guess not. But basically, it's in the southern area of it's like around there. So here's like this is Antarctica, this is the Antarctic Peninsula, but then this is Australia, so they kind of put a bunch of things together that are, they squeeze all the southern parts together because they just have this little space on this side. So it's like Australia, New Zealand, New Guinea, Sumatra, seemingly, Java, Philippines, Kalimantan. And so I'm thinking this is, what's it called? Sri Lanka. And that, I don't know, like the shapes of these at least, like this one matches to the Andaman Islands. This one matches to, what is it? I guess it's the French southern Antarctic islands, but there's also another name for it. And then this one potentially matches to this the Maldives, but it's hard to know because for this to be all the case, it would be out of order. Because if this is the Andaman, the Andamans, anyway, whatever that is, I think it's that I had compared it with the Andaman Islands, which are really on the other side of Sri Lanka. But it seems to me that happens on this map, that there's things that are literally out of order, like they're on the wrong side of the wrong thing. So that's why I still consider that this is all possible. For instance, this to me seems to be like this seems to be Britain and Ireland. Britain holding Ireland. And then these seem to be the Faroes and Shetland. And they match very well for those, I think. But they're out of order because Shetland is much closer to Britain than the Faroes is. So if this is an accurate identification, then it certainly leaves the door open for these ones to be accurate as well. So yeah, this is that middle one, I guess, right? Yeah, it's the one in the middle there. So I was thinking this, at least shape-wise, matches fairly well with the Maldives, or the Maldives, or I don't know how you call it. But, that course, this would be the face. And then maybe even like this little line right there would be this little island or whatever there. And, you know, maybe this thicker part would be this part here, or include that. I mean, it's hard to know. Like, it's not like I can see all this stuff very easily. I'm not seeing the legs really. So, you know, it could be something else, but seems like it could be this because, you know, those 3 1s, like, you know, these 3 and this, basically what I've matched them to basically the largest islands in this whole area of the sea, like the southeastern or southwestern Pacific, and kind of basically the Indian Ocean area. So around the Indian Ocean, those are the large islands. There's Sri Lanka, there's the well, I guess the Andaman Islands are further afield. They're more towards Malaysia. But again, I think that might not be an impediment because sometimes these things are not, you know, they're not placed in the exact order that they're actually in. So, yeah. This would fit just because it's one of the largest kind of islands, you know, archipelagos in around the Indian Ocean, around that whole area. Let's see, what else do we got? Yeah, because this, you know, this seems to be, to me, this seems to be, you know, Britain with Ireland, and, you know, with these 3 hostages representing Ulster, Connacht, and Munster, and then this being the Faroes, which is a bunch of disconnected islands, which is why it's shown kind of in a different way, and then Shetland, which is shown as this kind of moving figure with their legs like apart, because they do have, it does seem to have these legs here. So, but technically Shetland is right here, you know, just above here, and Faroes is like up here. So Faroes is actually further away. So to me, that supports the idea that these other ones could be the Andamans and the Maldives and whatnot, even though they're not in the exact order on the painting. You know, these other ones. And let's see. So this is something, you know, I showed it in an earlier video, but then it turned out the video was sideways. So I'll just recap it real quick. I mean, not that it matters too much if it's sideways, because it actually made this text right side up. But, you know, the point is that my new theory on this guy is that instead of his legs being the Papuan Peninsula and his penis being Dahlak Island, I'm now thinking that Papuan Peninsula, the entire Papuan Peninsula is his penis, and his legs are actually New Britain. And the main reason I think that is because of the feet, because, you know, this figure, I mean, their penis is prominent in this depiction, but arguably so are his feet. And the feet are just as long, and they're very parallel. It's like they point the exact same direction to the same length as his dick does. So I was looking at, I was thinking, okay, the feet could be like, if this whole peninsula was his leg, if the peninsula was his legs, then, and this was his penis, then his feet would have to be like something down here, but there's nothing down here that points out, so it would have to be stylized in that sense, because really it just basically points down. So it would be strange in that sense for such a distinctive part of the painting to basically be non-existent in reality, to be based on nothing. So for it to be based on something real, I think it may have to be this. It may have to be that his legs are actually this New Britain, which is this kind of long island along here, and then, Papuan Peninsula would be his penis, and then the Solomon Islands, which are these rows of islands, basically two rows of islands that extend from New Britain, would be his feet. And that would make sense because they're pointing the same, the Solomon Islands have the same, orientation, angle, trajectory as Papuan Peninsula has. And they're basically the same length as well. Solomon Islands is about the length of the Papuan Peninsula. And so in that case, Dalek Island is probably not really included. It might just be shown as like this little part here, or maybe this little part here, or something like that. And since it is a separate island, maybe it's cut off entirely, but of course, New Britain and the Solomon Islands are quite separate as well, so it can be somewhat arbitrary how these avatars are constructed. Let's see. So anyway, that's like a different theory, my new theory for the Birdman of Lascaux. It's like between 15 and 28,000 years old. So that's like a pretty, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably about 20,000 years old at least, but it could be like 28,000. So with that in mind, I remade this, overall comparison to include the updated Birdman. And so this is the overall painting at Lascaux, and so you have Australia here, Australia as this bison or something, I don't know, or a bull or something like that. And that its front haunch is Cape York, and then this part here is probably around here, and then yeah, it goes back. I mean, I'm not sure what this signifies here. I think it might signify that, it's like speared, and then it's like maybe bleeding here from the wound. So, and in that area, there's like the super blue water around, the Tiwi Islands and like Cobourg Peninsula in this gulf. I forget what the gulf is called. And in the Egyptian Book of Two Ways, it seems that it may refer to this area as being the efflux of Osiris. And so that could also relate to this idea of this being the blood that's coming out, because it's like, it's an interesting geology and whatever in that gulf. And anyway, so, and then this part is, matches super well with the tail and butt or whatever. And then, up here it's like goes for a little while, but then the really fluffy part, I think, is where this light blue is here, and that the light blue is like the super shallow areas. So that's signified by the super hairy parts or whatever that on the top and bottom. These are like, this one even includes the Great Barrier Reef. And so it has a lot of this hair there through here. And then the horns signify, there are some kind of like pointy peninsulas around that side. And it could be that they painted it in this part of the cave because of the kind of reddish color. I mean, I kind of increased the coloration a bit, but yeah, it just increases what's already there. So it could be that they painted it here because Australia is kind of a reddish, has this type of reddish soil. And then, so yeah, I basically put in Papua with the new orientation. So this is his legs here, this is his phallus, and then this is his legs and his feet. So, I mean, to me, looking at it like this, it's even more convincing, because you can just see like how it really kind of does look like legs and feet in a certain, to an extent there. And then, his head tilted back and his mouth open, and his arms would be just some of these islands around here, I guess. And then, of course, the Philippines and Taiwan and Sulawesi. So Sulawesi, Indonesia here is the site of the oldest cave paintings on Earth, like the oldest paintings on Earth basically are there, and they're the same type of thing, and they seem to depict this same type of thing as well. But they're about 45,000 years old. So anyway, Sulawesi seems to be the front legs of the